The voice under the floor. They say when you move somewhere new, the silence speaks first. I didn't believe it until I moved into the house where the floor talked back. It was cheap, too cheap, a single-story cottage at the edge of a forest. Quiet, no neighbors, no signal either. Perfect, I thought. I needed to write, to disconnect. The house disagreed. The first night, the wood creaked. Normal. Old houses do that. The second night, I heard breathing from under the floor. I pulled up the carpet the next morning. Nothing. Just aged wood, dry and cracked. Still, the breathing continued, only at night. Only at 2:17 a.m. Always at 2:17. I set up a recorder. That night I listened. It wasn't just breathing, it whispered. Let me out. My name. Then again. You let me in. Now you can't leave. I smashed the recorder, left the lights on, didn't sleep. The voice didn't care. I tried to leave. The car wouldn't start. Battery dead. The road was flooded, the forest too thick. No signal, no map, no way back. Only the house. The voice got louder. At night, I felt it breathing beneath me. Then it knocked. One knock under the bed, then under the table, then behind the mirror. The worst night. I heard my own voice calling me. Come down, I'm already here. But it wasn't me. It was something that wore my voice like a mask. I tore up the floor, under the planks, dirt, then deeper, stone, then a small, rusted door. It shouldn't have fit, but it was there, and it opened, a crawl space, dark, cold. I crawled in with a flashlight and a knife. The tunnel went further than the house itself. Then I saw it. It looked like me. Same face, same clothes, same eyes, but wrong. Too wide, too still. It smiled. I didn't. It whispered, now there are two of us. And then it ran past me. Upward, outside, into my house. I ran after it, but the door had vanished. The tunnel collapsed. Now I'm here, still, under the floor, and I whisper every night, let me out. But the house doesn't listen. It only feeds. And someone new just moved in. Whispers in the fog. They say the fog rolls in like a tide, and sometimes it doesn't roll back out. I never believed in that sort of talk. Coastal town legends. Stories passed around in old bars and told to scare tourists. But then I moved here, and I heard it myself. The whispers. They began on my third night in the cottage. Faint at first, like someone talking through a wall. Not quite words, just breath with shape. I stood at the window and watched the fog roll in, thick and gray, swallowing the trees one by one. I heard it again. Come closer. I stepped back. There was no one outside. The town was small, the kind where everyone knew you were new before you introduced yourself. I asked the old man who ran the hardware store if the fog always sounded like that. He went quiet, then said, just don't follow the voices. That's all. He rang up my batteries and wouldn't meet my eye. By the end of the week, I couldn't sleep. The whispers came every night now, clearer. We see you. You hear us. You belong. Sometimes they laughed, soft, wet, inhuman. I started locking the windows, all of them. But one morning I woke up and they were open, all of them. I tried to record the voices. The playback was silent, except for the fog. It hissed through the speakers like a living thing. The townspeople stopped talking to me. Even the mailman left packages at the road. I asked the woman at the post office if anything strange had ever happened. She whispered, don't breathe it in, then turned her back. The fog didn't just stay outside anymore. It crept under the door, filled the bathroom while I showered, slipped into my dreams. One night I woke up with fog inside my room. Thick, cold, heavy. There were shapes in it. Not people, not animals. Wrong. I tried to leave town. The roads vanished. I walked for hours and ended up back at my front door. The whispers were louder. We're inside now. You opened the way. We remember you. I don't know what they mean, but I don't sleep anymore. I don't eat. I sit in the fog, and I listen. Because the voices, They sound like me now. The well in the forest. They told us not to go into the woods behind the village. They didn't explain why, just that we shouldn't, especially near the old well. But children don't listen. I was 12 when I first saw it. The stone circle, half sunken in moss. The old wood frame above it, rotten and leaning. No bucket, just a black hole going down forever. We dared each other to throw stones in, to listen for the splash. We never heard one, not once. That night I dreamed of the well. Something was in it, not water. It whispered in a voice like my own, "Come back." I didn't tell anyone. The other kids stopped visiting the forest. I didn't. I felt drawn there like something was waiting, like it knew me. Every time I stood at the edge, the whisper returned. Down here, down below. I never climbed in, but I leaned too far once, and I saw eyes. They were wide, human, staring up from the blackness. I fell back, hit my head. When I opened my eyes, the forest was silent, but the well was no longer empty. A small figure stood beside it. It looked like me, but it wasn't. That version of me followed me home. No one noticed, not even my mother. She spoke to it like it was me, and it answered like me. I watched from the woods. It wore my face, better than I ever did. I ran away that night. I lived in the forest. I watched myself grow up from the shadows. He was better at everything, smarter, funnier, loved. But sometimes he stared at the forest, and I knew he remembered. Last week he came back to the well, stood on the edge, and whispered, "Your turn." I smiled, because I'd been waiting. Now I live in the world again, and something else waits in the well. Something that looks like him. The window at 3 a.m. I never noticed the window across from mine, not until it lit up at 3 a.m. I live on the top floor of a 4-story building. Across from me is an identical building. Same structure, same layout, but the top floor has always been dark, empty, or so I thought. The first time I saw it, the light flickered on like a candle behind the curtain. A silhouette stood there, still, watching. I thought it was my reflection at first, but I wasn't standing, and I wasn't watching. The next night it happened again. Same time, 3 a.m., light on, figure in the window. I took a photo. There was no one in the picture, just darkness. I asked the landlord about the apartment. "No one lives there," he said. "That unit's been empty for years, pipes burst, unsafe." I showed him the photo. He frowned. "You took a picture of your own window." I started staying up late, watching. The figure always came at 3 o'clock, always stood still. Then it began to move. It mimicked me. If I tilted my head, it did the same. If I lifted my hand, it copied. But when I smiled, it didn't. I covered my window. But at 3 a.m., I woke up to a tap on the glass. I live on the 4th floor. There is no balcony. I stopped sleeping. I moved to the couch. The tapping followed. No matter what room I slept in, 3 a.m., tap, tap, tap. One night I decided to confront it. I stood at the window at 2:59, waited. When the light came on, the figure was already there. Closer than usual, its head tilted slightly the wrong way. I waved. It didn't move. Then it raised its hand slowly and placed it against the inside of my window. I screamed. It disappeared. The next morning I checked the building across. That window was bricked up from the inside. Solid. Sealed. No light could ever come through. I moved out 2 days later, but every night since. At 3 a.m., I still hear tapping, even when there's no window nearby.